Paul, you've got a part of a business that's quite substantial and relies very strongly on representing your sustainability and ethical practices to consumers. How aware do you think consumers are of some of the issues that the more innovative farmers are adopting and becoming aware of?
I think there is a general awareness out there, but I'm not sure that in the day-to-day life of the average consumer that there's a lot of people that make a conscious effort in terms of looking out for products or services that have been developed with those sorts of things in mind. So it's still at this stage, I would see it as a niche market. Certainly people wanting to come closer and identify where their produce is from is becoming more and more stronger, and that you can see that through the rise of the farmers markets and more people doing things online, that consumers are wanting to interact with the producer. But I guess it's how we, as producers, can actually develop that more and get more into it.
Where do you think the balance is between the actual eating experience, which is the ultimate goal, I guess, of eating beef, and concerns about the ethics, the environmental ethics and the animal welfare ethics?
Oh, well, I mean, we certainly believe that that's probably the most important thing that we can bring is a bona fide integrity to our production system. At every step of what we do, we underpin our environmental credentials with a system. We underpin our quality with a system, and we would like to look at our animal welfare because that's obviously very important in producing quality cattle. We would like to also do that in relation to having something to underpin it. One of the challenges there is how are those systems audited or paid for, and are they a bona fide system which is really looking at the animal welfare issues, or is it something that is as a fundraising for a particular organisation that may be involved in providing that tick or the...
Yeah. One of the things, though, I did notice in your presentation was that you don't only claim to be sustainable and to attend to welfare and to meet quality, you actually do measure and monitor it. How do you feel about other producers who make the same claims but do not engage necessarily in formally evaluating their products and formally accrediting their practices?
It's inevitable, but it's disappointing, but it's inevitable. In terms of what we're aspiring to do is to be totally open and transparent, and there are people out there who are doing sustainable things, but they just really don't have a handle on how we actually do monitor and evaluate and underpin what we claim to underpin. And so from that perspective, I think it comes with education, but it just makes our story a little bit harder in terms of, one of the things that is often touted is that organics are very good at being clean and not using chemicals. Where we are in Gippsland, we have green, or apart from this year, we typically would have green summers, and so worm burden in the animals is an issue. And so we do treat our cattle for worms because that's best practice for animal husbandry, and we want something that will actually work. But having said that, we will then look at the drench options open to us and say, okay, well, which one is softest on the dung beetles, for example? So that we do use chemicals, but just because you don't use chemicals doesn't mean that it's good for the environment. And I guess that's something that we often find ourselves trying to get that cut through is, if there's no chemicals, it must be good for the environment, and so on.
Would you have a key message or closing comment that you might send out to producers who, currently aren't paying particular attention, whatever sector they're in, to the needs of their customers, to adopting an approach, which you've clearly done, being very aware of the customer aspirations in designing the products that you actually provide?
Oh, I think that's really critical. I think that basically, you really have to have in mind what is it that you're actually producing to. One of the challenges we have is, if we're trying to get carcasses to fit into a particular niche for the butchers, we need carcasses between 220 and 240 kilos. Now, there are some producers that can produce that. Others would say, well, we'll just sneak in some heavier ones because that will make us more money. The problem there is that the butcher says, well, I can't cut a T-bone steak, or I can't cut a ribeye out of an animal that's 270 kilos when I order one that's 230 kilos. And so we're working closely with our producers to make sure that they do understand what the step is and what that market is. So it's very important to get the customer focus right.
Thanks, terrific.